Within Python, you can actually do an if statement in one line, which makes it much more readable, and it's also obviously considerably easier to write as well. And so when we would have usually had something like this, if A is equal to, you see, A is equal to B, then we'll print true, else print false. Now, when we usually had something like this, and it worked perfectly fine, you can do that on one line, where you can do print, and we're going to do true if A is equal to B, else false. And that is exactly the same as the line beforehand. And so here you can see we get the same output, and both of them are false. Now this can have a string where these true and falses are if you want. However, you can output whatever you want basically. But if you look at these, you can see that they have the exact same code, just rewritten in a slightly different way, and it's actually more readable because this is, you can have this is equal to true if A is equal to B, else this is not true. And that is what you'll get output. So it's more readable in this format than in this format. Well, at least I think it is anyway. So it's down to you as to whether or not you want this to be written that way. And you can use whichever one you prefer. But just remember that this way can actually be stored as a variable, and this variable is now considered to be equal to this string rather than a statement. So the actual statement doesn't get saved, the value of the statement at the end gets saved, which is identical to having this is equal to var instead of having it equal to printing something out, for example. So that is how you can do an inline if statement with Python. Use it if you find it more useful. For certain applications and for certain uses it is more useful, and it's easier to write, but obviously you're not always going to be wanting to do this. For example, this only supports outputs or short answers. You can't actually embed other or nest other if statements within it, for example. So you have to sort of balance whether or not it's useful and whether or not it'll work for what you actually want to use it for. If you do want to use it and it doesn't work, then all you'll have to do is just change your code around slightly so that it uses the longhand method rather than the inline method. So I'm Max Bowles from LearnToProgram.tv, and I'll see you soon.